If I could have the next slide, please. Okay, so SAT scores. This is the one I had to put up because I think it's important to be honest about things. I don't think 1 year of a slightly lower set of SAT scores is something for us to cringe about. I've already been in conversation with Mr. Cox in the college guidance office to say, what do the numbers look like for this year's class? And they're already rebounding again. We don't put 2014 up here yet because of the Florida Bright Futures program, seniors are still taking SATs. And so the work is not yet done, but I can assure you it's already over 1,700 for this year. And by comparison to national standards and Florida generally, all students in Florida, it's clear that our kids are performing incredibly well. So a little bit disappointing last year. We're hoping it's a little bit more of a one-year blip, but there it is, and I'm not going to hide it. That's the number. But a little bit different if you look at the next slide, which is the ACT scores. Our students have performed pretty consistently there. The number already for this year is, without the kids having fully taken all the ACT tests, is 25.6, which I think beats every year but 2 on the chart there. So, and again, far in excess of national and Florida comparable scores. If I could have the next slide, this is the one we're most proud of here. Colleges, when looking at students and advancing them in college, they look at the advanced placement scores. If we're being honest, some really, really elite schools won't put a student in an advanced course unless they earn a 4 or higher, but many, many colleges accept students by scoring a 3 or higher. So most of us in the independent school world consider a 3, 4, or 5 to be a passing score on the AP exam. And we are very proud to say that, you know, for the last 3 years in a row, our kids have achieved better than 90%. And as in talking not only nationally, these are, you know, comparing to some public statistics, but also when I look at Bowles and Episcopal and other independent schools that we consider reputable in the area, we are very competitive with them. So that's a great thing there. So that's good. So how about this? How about annual giving? I am so pleased that, that we have incredible support from our board, from our faculty, 100% participation in the past 3 years, but also 72% a year ago, 75% last year on the annual fund by parents. I can assure you that while some schools may be raising more money from their parent body, no schools in the area are getting 75% of their parents to participate. I put a break in the chart here because it's important for you to note that we ran annual funds at St. John's for several years, but during the Reaching New Heights capital campaign, we suspended the annual fund, so we didn't have an annual fund. And in that intervening block of time there, you all did a great job and raised $3 million. So let's not ignore that, but it wasn't annual giving. It was for very specific projects. Last year, the contribution to the entire annual fund was $353,000, and mind you, that doesn't count the $50,000 that the auction contributed from its $70,000 bonanza. So terrific year last year, and this year is not an auction year, so we're trying to find other creative ways to fill in that gap, but we don't need to raise another $50,000 over that to reach our goal. In fact, our goal this year is $300,000, and we're rapidly approaching that, and parent participation is right about 59%, I believe. I don't know if Amy, where are you? Are we 60 yet? No, okay, yeah. So, and which is about where we were this time last year. So I'm really grateful for that. And so you might say, okay, Ed, but you know, 75% cool, 353,000. Well, as a result of this incredible participation, I want to share with you some news that we have not shared publicly yet, and I'm very, very pleased to let you know. If you could show me the next slide here. Major giving. Just a few weeks ago, I received a call from a very loyal supporter of our school, who shall choose to remain anonymous, who said to me, I'm very impressed with what your team is doing over there. I'm impressed with the amount of participation that you've been able to achieve from the parent body. And I know, because of my affiliation with the school, that the school is still carrying some debt. And I think that the school would be in a much better position if I were to write you a check for $1 million to pay down some of that debt. So we are the beneficiaries. We have already taken that money, and we have already used it to reduce the debt that the school carries. We're not, to be honest with you, we're not entirely out of the woods on that. But I want you to know that these gifts aren't possible without the widespread generosity that we receive from parents. Now, some of you may be asking me, What's the 150,000 up there? Anybody curious? Okay, so anyway, this is the luck, as it were, of having folks who are very loyal to a school who, on their passing, bequest money to the school. We were the beneficiaries recently. Barrett Brown, alumni of the school. Amy, help me out. What year did she graduate? 65. She left this money for St. John's in her will. And so her sister Lila Brown, who has served on the board for many years, has met with us because the money is really, when you receive a gift of this size, you honor the donor's intent. And so she has laid out for us what Barrett's wishes were for the money. And I can assure you that some of it will be going to wonderful things like enhancing the library collection. Some of it will be going to things to enable us to reach out better to our now 1,800 strong alumni. And some of it will be going immediately to helping fund some additional professional development. And there may be a little bit left over for some other programs that we want to take care of. But these kind of gifts are incredibly helpful. They sustain us into the future. And I'm hoping that as we continue to drive this annual fund and show this kind of outpouring of support from a wide spread of participants, that I can take this story to other major donors who are out there, other folks who have not only the capacity but the inclination to consider making a major gift to the school. Next slide, please. So as I wrap things up here, you have to be asking yourself time and again, when you write those tuition checks, when you write those annual fund checks, when you pay for extras that aren't always included in tuition, why St. John's? So here are a couple of ideas I want to leave you with. We have a rigorous college prep program. Mr. Cox did a nice job of bringing back some college students who are alumni or alums of the school to meet with our juniors and seniors to talk to them about heading off to college. And we recently had someone, here's a student at Harvard saying, I was incredibly well prepared for college. I hear this time and again whenever I talk to alumni of St. John's. Have the next slide, please. I'm going to quote Mr. Cox here, but a community of students. I think this is important. It's so important. We do these announcements at Flag about college acceptances. First graders are out there watching that, and the kids are immersed in an environment where everyone knows everyone else is going to college. You cannot underestimate the value of that when you're trying to provide your kids with the quality of education you want here and the kind of environment that we provide here. Our kids all have choices. We work this not to try to get the best list for us. We work this process so that the kids find a school where they think they're going to fit the best. And that's our goal. And many receive generous scholarship offers. If I could have the next slide, please. This is a slightly exaggerated number. It's an honest number, but it's an exaggerated number because many kids apply to a variety of schools and they get generous offers from a number of schools. And we say we're going to count them all, even though they can't possibly use them all. But these numbers are staggering, and we're kind of at a loss to explain why they vary so much. But there is money to be had out there. And our kids earn it based on their SAT scores, based on their GPA, and based on their ability to write decent essays. But we think that's an important thing to keep in mind, particularly while we know so many of our parents want to send their kids to Florida schools because of the Florida Pre-Pay program, because of the Bright Futures program, which is not what it once was. But if you're thinking you'd like a smaller school and you'd like an independent school, a private school, you'd be surprised, even though you hear these incredible, the sticker shock is unbelievable when you hear numbers like $50,000 a year. But I have to tell you that a lot of these schools, with kids that we present, they're talking $25,000 a year presidential scholarships. They're talking big money. We have a student going to interview next week with 10 other candidates with the possibility of receiving an entirely full scholarship at a private school. So as you think about where your son or daughter may fit best, I'm not trying to do Rod's job, and he laughs at me and he kicks me out of his office when I try to do it, but he doesn't need my help. But I would say, if you really think that a large state university isn't what you want, but it's the most cost-effective, I would encourage you to at least explore these other possibilities with your kids as the time comes, and then decide if the money's enough. Because I know in my case with my kids, Kathy and I are having those conversations right now, and I'm shocked at the kind of money that these schools are offering. So what I would tell you is almost nobody's paying full price. Anyway, and a couple more reasons why St. John's. Let's see. Yeah, those teachers are pretty good, and they know our kids. I harp on this where students are known and loved, and I think it's really important. And we had this step-up meeting. The 8th grade students can come and meet a panel of students in the 9th grade, parents who were able to ask questions. But I was taking notes when students were answering questions, and this is just a quote. "I have tremendous access to my teachers, and I can ask them for help whenever I need it. I have the confidence to ask questions." You know, this is a parent's quote, by the way. You know, one thing my child got out of St. John's was the confidence to frame a question, to know when to ask for help. It's almost as important as it is to actually ask for the help. That's a really valuable thing that isn't true at a lot of other schools. Last one here. And this is what everyone here says who's been here a long time. You know, the phrase is, kids can do it all at St. John's. And it's really true. We're a small school. We have incredible resources, but we're a small school. And so we have one St. John's sophomore telling us, "I'm involved in a lot of activities, and I'm even a leader in some." Not an opportunity you get at larger schools. And we have a terrific athlete here, as it turns out, but never played baseball before, and on the varsity as a junior, and has never played a lot of other sports, but never played baseball. So we think it's a really neat thing about St. John's that kids get a chance to participate. Not every sport, to be honest, is non-cut, but we think it's a real advantage of St. John's that kids can try a lot of different things. They can be actively involved and wear many, many hats. And I think, quickly, important dates, hit these here. We get re-enrollment deadline, financial aid deadline. These are important for us in terms of managing the school, running the school. Spring break begins on March 20th. That's a Thursday, if you haven't watched your calendar there. And then we'll take about 9 or 10 calendar days, not business days. We do have St. John's on Broadway. I apologize for rescheduling that, but we had a conflict that was unknowable and unavoidable, and we thought better to have 27 kids able to do St. John's on Broadway than not able to do it at all. And then a couple things going forward to next year. Thanksgiving break next year, we're going to take the entire week off. I was motivated to make that decision because the Florida Council of Independent Schools conference is being held in the Jacksonville area. We're one of the host schools. And the teacher day of that week is Friday before Thanksgiving. And the right thing to do is to use that as one of our professional development days, have all of our faculty attend that. It's a great conference. It'll be very valuable, and it's really cost-effective because it's local. We won't need to stay in hotels. We won't need to do much more than pay for some gas. And I just felt like it would be silly to have no school on Friday, have school on Monday, half a day on Tuesday, and then have school off for the rest of the week. So we will have no school on the Friday before Thanksgiving and all the way through Thanksgiving. I can't promise it'll be this way every year, but at least for next year it will be. And as a trade-off, we got one little back. It's not a big deal, but we have Veterans Day. We will have classes next year. As a veteran, I think that's great. We can celebrate the day, but we're trying to make all the days add up, and we do need to have class once in a while. So we will have school next year on Veterans Day, but that's not a big deal. I think that concludes what I had prepared. I'm very excited about the future of St. John's. I love this place very much.